Film Slice Crew review Aquaman.
Aquaman, the greatest superhero.
Hey team, Angus Dragon here. Welcome to the Film Slice
Podcast.
Podcast. I'm here, as always, with my co-host Kang Diddly Willy Kane Dogs
Hello.
and Bro Diddly Doo Broadman Richards.
Also known as...
Let me find it. Barbie. Nice to meet you, Barbie.
Barbie.
Thank you
very
to
much.
Miss Georgina Bramwell.
Dogs.
All right, this week we are reviewing Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Aquaman. However you pronounce it. Kane Dogs. hit us up.
Aquaman.
Arthur Curry learns that he is the heir to the underwater kingdom of Atlantis and must step forward to lead his people and be a hero to the world.
Air underwater. Like that's gonna happen.
You're an idiot.
All right, when you see the
God.
when you see the movie, what'd you think?
When you see the movie, what did you think? Do you like the movie? None of the shit.
Kane Dogs.
I saw it on the opening day, which was last Thursday, I think. Saw it with the GF's mother, and the GF's mother's friend. So quite a rowdy crew. And
It's like we got some cinema dicks for the
and
cinema dicks.
we all know that DC aren't really known for home runs, especially out of the park. So I will admit
Nah.
I went in with no expectations of this being even a coherent film.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I kind of liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was. I'm not going to say great. I'm not going to compare it to many MCU films, but
Yeah.
I think it was fun. I had fun with it.
Broadman, when did you see the movie, what'd you think? Barbie. Barbie, when did you see the movie, what'd you
Get it
think?
right. I saw it at bloody Wool World on Friday night, and I thought it was pretty dog.
Cool.
I don't remember there being that many dogs in there.
See Dogfish?
Yeah, fun.
I saw it late last night, the very last session.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was pretty dog. I didn't enjoy it. I think because, K-Dogs, you said that you went in with no expectations. I had talked to a few people and they were like, you know what? It's better than I thought. So I'm like, okay, this movie should be better
Well-
than I think. And it wasn't.
No,
I think that people are just comparing it to the other DC films, and I
Yeah.
think that's an incorrect move.
Yes.
Because the other DC films are the worst films I've ever seen. So comparing anything to them would make it look good. You compare this film to any other film, and it's still very dog.
Yeah.
Dogs are great,
I've got some.
but just using the term,
In this context,
yeah, it's two Gs.
I've got some defense for this movie, but we'll get there.
Okay, yeah, let's head on in there. But before we do, lads, you know how every week I put up on Instagram and Twitter what we're reviewing and ask our slices what they thought. And Kane Dogs, you put up solely on Facebook.
I did,
That's
and I
your job?
remembered. Yep.
Yep. Did you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
any
Look, not
Any
gonna lie,
slices?
I put it up at 1 a.m. last night. When I remember. No,
Cool.
I think I put it up slightly earlier than that. I think I put it up 1 a.m. the night before. And no, not a like, not a thing.
not even a like?
Not even a like.
Well, that's fitting for this.
But
film.
we did get more than 12 likes for the Christmas card I did.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
if you want a Christmas card, head over. And
belated Christmas card.
We have a
See,
higher
I've always
engagement
just
for a Christmas card than we do with anything else.
So that's why we're changing the podcast to the Film Christmas Podcast. Mate, the Christmas Slice Podcast.
The
Jingle all the
greeting
way,
card
everybody.
podcast.
Very good. Well,
The greeting card postcard.
I got nothing on... Oh, there goes my phone.
Do you want to put that on?
I gotta put it on silent.
How are you a cinema dick in the podcast where we talk about cinema dicks?
I do it in my YouTube videos as well, and I don't realize until I'm editing. I'm like, oh, that's my phone. Damn it. It's happened in the last 2 videos. I should really learn.
You really should. I never have my phone on loud. It's always on silent
Yeah,
because
neither.
no one ever needs to message me urgently. Never
Yeah.
one. I'm always like, I should put it on in case of emergency.
I've got a job.
Never
though.
once had an emergency. I have a job. My
Okay,
job just
and
doesn't
then-
have any emergencies that are my problem.
So on the Instagram, Film/Instagram, we didn't get any comments on that, but we did get a message from our old mate, Connor Kelly.
Connor Kelly, you bloody...
He
Lovely
says,
I thought he was dead.
No, he's still alive.
Ah, fantastic.
Still kicking?
He says, Happy Christmas, guys. And he also says, Happy New Year. Also tell Brody he sounded very lickadees in the last episode.
Ah, yes, a man after my own heart.
There you go. So that was unrelated to Aquaman whatsoever, and that's what the Slicey Slices had to
But
say
Merry
about
Christmas,
this.
Connor Kelly, and Happy New
Merry
Year, man.
Christmas.
Hope you're doing well.
Connor.
Very good. All right, let's head on into our next segment. Would you recommend it? Who would you recommend it to? Cane Dogs?
Okay, I would recommend it, but I'd probably recommend it to people on Netflix. I don't think, like, as I said, I had fun with it, but also by most scope, this isn't a good movie by most measures. So, if I was going to recommend people to go and see films, I probably wouldn't waste because I only get a certain amount of superhero movie recommendations a year before I just sound like I'm telling everyone to see every superhero movie.
Like a broken iPod.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I tend to be really careful about what superhero movies I try to get people to see, because we all know that if people keep seeing crap ones, I'll stop making them.
Yeah.
So I probably wouldn't recommend too many people to see Aquaman. I'd recommend someone that doesn't go to the movies a lot that's asking me specifically what's out right now. If there's like, what's out at the moment? I'm like, well, there's like Wreck-It Ralph and this.
Welcome.
But yeah, if this was out at any other time of the year and there were other films out, I probably wouldn't recommend this, just because you could have a funner time with other films. But
Yeah.
the more ignorant viewer that's a little happy just seeing anything that's a bit of a CGI spectacle, I'd recommend this to, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
kids will have a ball with this film, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely. Broadman, would you recommend it? Who would you recommend it to?
No!
Cool.
Fair enough.
I would recommend it to kids, as you said. Stole my point. But I think anyone that can kind of dissect a film is not going to have fun, or might have fun absolutely destroying it. So yeah,
I've heard.
maybe if you really like film, watch
That being
this
said,
one
out of the
and just
out of the
just pull it
3
apart.
review podcasts I've heard, all of them have given this a certified thumbs up.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's doing okay.
They are wrong.
Yeah. What do they know? We're 52 episodes in now. We've done a full year
Yeah. We
compared to
now,
others that have done like 300.
it doesn't matter. We now have enough background in the film industry as a film review podcast
Well, that
that
being
we
said-
can now say with some amount of gravity.
Bro,
whether
did you
to
know
see
how
a
many
film or not.
subscribers we have on YouTube?
Shut up, John.
15.
Shut up.
We've had 15 since we left Angus's.
Beep it out.
Since we left Angus's
Beep it out.
YouTube.
Mine's actually
Shut
gone
up.
up since
it
I
out.
No,
got rid
Angus
of
has gone up. We're on 15.
We were the ball and chain
Yeah.
weighing you down.
You were the anchor.
So
to this
Angus's
ship.
latest video is like the best and worst things of my new camera, and that is doing better than our podcast.
No need to try to bring down Angus.
Yeah, no, that's
Our
a bit brutal.
podcast already did
He's-
enough.
All right. Anything we should say before we head on into spoilers? I feel like people get the gist. Like it's
Yeah.
It's another one.
It's
it's
another.
another
There's another one.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Let's head on into spoilers.
Spoilers. Oh, what a cool sound effect, Angus.
All right, we are in the spoiler session where we dissect and divulge everything about the
Film.
spoilers. Film. Yeah. Ahoy there, mateys. That was a fish theme. Cinema dicks, guys.
No, actually,
No.
I had a really nice calm.
Oh, I got a big
I had a
one.
full cinema, but it was calm.
You got a big one?
I
got a mediocre
throbbing.
one.
By
Who do you want to go
by
first?
a big throbbing dick, do you mean that there was a lot of, like, someone made a massive mistake, or it was just a really big person?
Mine's more of a conversation.
okay.
Yeah, I think I need you guys to help me decide who is the cinema
I hope we
dick.
don't have time for this, so
All
go
right.
on.
No, Angus, you take it ahead. You go first.
Okay, so I went into the cinema, and in this specific cinema, there's designated seating, and there was like maybe about 40 people in this like 400 seat cinema, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So not a lot of people.
No. 10% of capacity.
First contestant for Cinema Dick is the lady at the counter that gave me a seat right next to a couple.
Out of,
Okay,
Yeah.
out of the whole cinema,
360 spare seats.
360 spare seats.
Yeah,
that's-
I'll give that to a
That's
cinematic. Yep.
first contestant.
Yep.
Second contestant is me because I didn't want to sit next to this couple when there's so many other spaces, so I just sat a row in front, and that was fine.
Nope, you're also a cinema dick in
Okay,
this circumstance.
also a
Yep,
cinema dick.
Go on.
And this last contestant, which I'm a bit on the rocks about because I'm not happy about, but we'll see what you
Is
guys
the
say.
couple then moved forwards to sit next to
No. About 10, 15 minutes after the movie started. So when I feel like when it was like the flashback of like Jason Momoa learning how to fight on the beach or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, a decent amount into the film.
Yeah, it's a good 20 minutes.
A couple walks up the aisle, looks at me and goes, sorry, I think you have the wrong seat. Now, are they allowed to ask me to move if it's 20 minutes into the film?
Yes.
They are allowed if it's their seats.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Then they are allowed because you can call forward and book specific seats. So, and you don't know what they've done. It's like if the night before they had booked specifically your seats, and then you had sat in them, then you're on the dick side. But if they had just rocked up and bought 2 seats, then they should just sit wherever they can.
Disagree. I think if allocated seats are allocated seats, regardless of the point of allocated seats is either you book where you want to sit or you got what you're given. And I say this because I've been in a position where I've thought, this is going to be busy. I'll book my seats, and I've gone, and there has been people in our seats, and it'd just be me and the GF. So I'd book 2 seats, and there was like a family of 8, and they just went across, and I was like, how do I ask this whole family to get out of my way? But at the same time, I paid the extra $1.50 so I could sit specifically here.
All right, let's head on into
You've lied.
Wait, no, I have a spoiler dick.
Let's
spoiler dick.
Sorry, Bro's got a spoiler
Brody's
dick.
got a spoiler's dick.
I got a spoiler dick. Okay.
Cinema dick.
So, I sat in the weird place above the entrance for this film. You know, there's like 3 rows.
Yeah.
There's like 3 rows just above the entrance, and they're like next to the wall. And one of the armrests was missing, so I sat with one armrest.
Why didn't you just sit
And because
else?
there's just a big wall. It was full of people.
Allocated seating.
And because there's just a big like wall railing in front of you, so you don't fall off down that huge hole into the thing like an idiot would. You're meant to have the same legroom as everyone else, but every time I'm in a cinema, I stick my toes between the seats because I have pretty big feet and I'm a big person.
People have accidentally thought Brody was Bigfoot. People have discovered him before.
People
There are
have taken
blurry
shots.
pictures of
Wasn't
him.
happy about it. Wasn't happy about
You
it.
shouldn't have been
But I
wandering
tolerate
aimlessly
it.
through a forest.
I tolerate it because I can just pick them up and throw them away.
Got
So
tranquilized.
I usually stick my little toes in between the seats, which gives me just enough leg room to be comfortable. But because that wasn't there, I was just weirdly uncomfortable with like one arm on a rest and like my legs really like close up. But then I was also between 2 other people. So I just had a person that wasn't an armrest next to me.
Hold on.
And
So
so, it
you
was
were
just-
happy to sit next to the other people you went to the cinema with.
Yeah.
But last time we went to a movie, you made sure there was a seat between us.
That's because there was like 10 people in there. When there's 10 people, you can sit
Gotta
wherever
read
you
the
want.
situation, yeah.
Yeah, because there was no allocated seating, I could sit in the more comfortable position. It was so weird.
So is the dick the no armrest?
the cinema?
The dick is Will World once again.
Ugh.
Maybe
Classic
stop.
Woolworth.
Maybe just go to a different
You know
cinema.
what? Move. Maybe
I
change
can't.
state.
I bought 1,000 tickets from Woolworth. I have to go there every week to get my money's worth.
All right, let's smash through this. Positives. Starting off with you, Cane Dogs. You seem like you've got the most positives.
I did. I wrote a note.
Oh, very good.
Put in his wallet. He didn't just write a note on his phone like a normal
On a
person.
piece of paper that I found in the kitchen. It says plain flour, sugar. Nope, it's the other side. No dead parents.
Like
in
I
this-
said, plain, flour, sugar. So you need
Obviously-
sugar, flour, and a plane.
Okay.
A plane to take that fake cocaine across the
Okay, look,
country lines.
let me get through these without arguing your point for every one of them, because I know that they're not massive, but let's just say them. Alright. There were no dead parents in this movie for a superhero movie. That's a decent feat. Some of these things were shot on real locations. I thought that was quite neat, considering a lot of this shit is CGI at this point. Sicily was actually done in Sicily. A lot of the beach shots were done at the Gold Coast here in Australia. Real locations made some fight scenes and some stuff feel relatively real. Practical effects. The whole action scene that happened in Sicily was done with practical effects, which I thought was really neat. There's a part where a guy is like chasing Mira underneath the building and he jumps from one building to another. They actually had a stunt guy do that. They made sure the actress of Mira was on wires. They did the whole thing practically. That's really cool because they don't often use practical effects in these types of films. We didn't get a CGI villain, which in comparative to MCU films isn't a big thing, but in comparison to all the DC films, this villain wasn't just a massive CGI monster in a bunch of cloud.
No CGI monsters in Aquaman.
No, I didn't say that. Not a main CGI villain. the bad guy in fucking Wonder Woman was just a weird thing of CGI, and the bad guy in Justice League was just a weird CGI, and the bad guy in Batman vs Superman was a weird CGI yoga. This was played by an actor who had an actual fight scene and lines. That was good.
No CGI.
I didn't say no CGI. Stop being a dick. Let me enjoy something.
Dick's my middle name. It's
All
actually
right.
the first part of my last name.
I actually thought the scenes within the water, all of that Atlanta stuff, it wasn't top grade CGI, but it was something I hadn't seen before, even though I've seen a billion superhero films. It felt...
Wait, sorry, which bit? In...
All of the stuff where they're underwater in Atlantis. Just the whole underwater world I thought was really
Like the
cool.
concept.
Yeah. I just thought
it just felt like space to me. It just felt like space and just like
Brody,
science
I said,
fiction.
let me get through my positives, then you can argue your negatives.
Yeah, you said that. I didn't agree though.
I understood the motivations of these characters, which again, it's not always fantastic. It's not a big deal for Marvel films, but again, you've got to praise DC. Like, it's easy to hate on everything DC does, but they're gonna need positive feedback for at least some of the things they're doing right for them to get any better. So this is a step up from the other DC films. I'm gonna review it positively because otherwise they won't learn anything from it and we'll just
Because it
keep getting
needs support.
well,
Needs, like, nurturing.
no,
Rather
but
than a...
this is what collectively a lot of people have done. They've said, in comparison to most movies, it's not good, but in comparison to DC, it's a step forward. And I agree. I think this is DC at least showing the first sign of making a coherent movie that doesn't look like a trailer. And I'm happy about that. Because I liked DC. Before Marvel movies were big, I wasn't forced to be like, do you like Marvel or DC? Because I read all of it. And then I only got good Marvel movies and a Batman trilogy. And I didn't mind Superman and Aquaman and all of that stuff when I read it in The Flash. So I want good movies. So I eventually want some of these to be good. And Aquaman is the first sign I can see of it being maybe going somewhere. Those are my positives. Also, I thought the outfits, as comically ridiculous as they are, I actually really enjoy that they weren't afraid to be really camp. I think they know that Aquaman was going to be a goofy movie. And so giving him the full orange and green look was brilliant for the film. I think it'd look ridiculous in any other context, but within the film, everyone's costumes were really comic accurate, and I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Reminded me like the Sam Raimi. It reminded me of just some of the original costumes that we used to get, like the Fantastic Four stuff, where everything wasn't dark and brooding. Everything was just fun and camp.
Yeah. Like,
So I really liked that.
back to it, the old spandex days.
The reason I'm not a big fan of the costumes like that is because they seem to not want to change any other part of the world to fit that. Like, they go somewhere else in the world and they try to make it look kind of gritty and stuff like that. It's like they like go to Sicily and it just looks like normal Sicily.
I didn't think
it's
they
like
made any of this gritty.
They go underwater and it's just like people in these like most ridiculous costumes ever, and they just look really strange.
Yeah.
And so it's like it feels like I always feel like in all of the DC films, including this one, it always feels like there's 3 different people making it, and they're always like butting heads. My favorite bit
Yep.
of Aquaman 2018 was that Django Fett was in it.
Yeah.
And I bloody loved it. Every time I saw him on screen, I was like, hey, it's Django Fett.
See, it's funny because that's the dad from Moana. I'm like, it's the dad
really?
from Moana.
Yeah.
Jango Fett is much cooler.
What's sad is I also thought Dad of Moana before I thought Jango Fett. Because I'm a Boba Fett guy, not a Jango Fett guy.
Every single time I was just like, yeah. I remember seeing that film when I was a kid, and he was like my favorite bit.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Ancient King. He plays one of the dwarves in the Hobbit films. And every time I saw him, I was like, yeah. They were my favorite parts.
So your favourite parts are the actors' other work in different films?
Yes, very much so.
The actors
Okay,
that
good.
they chose. Well, good casting. I think good casting for Jason Momoa as well.
See, here's the thing.
he can-
Before this movie, I don't like Jason Momoa just because he
really?
seems a little too brosif. Like, I feel like every conversation he has, it's just about his new ankle bracelet or like, the new wax he's bought for his surfboard, or just like,
Sounds like me.
the new haka he's working on that he's learning on YouTube. It never feels like a real person. He always feels like
Yeah.
he'd meet you with like a weird chest bumpy hug thing, and he'd always like.
See,
do
I like that. I
No,
yeah.
it's just
It's
He's-
very,
he's
very
my
much,
kind of guy.
yeah, very much anxious
it's
kind
too
of man.
surfy
yeah.
dude for me. But I enjoyed him in this film. I don't, because usually when I get into these films, I watch all the interviews and stuff, because I usually start sort of following the actors around, like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. and all of that. I watch all of the interviews with them. But I couldn't watch any of Jason Momoa stuff because I don't actually like him, but I liked him as Arthur Curry in Aquaman.
Okay. I really like him, and that leads me to my like biggest positive is that he just looks like he's having fun in this movie. Like,
Absolutely.
This
felt like an adventure
as you
film.
said, it's like a little camp, but like they're just kind of like having fun with it, and like.
Do you remember when DC...
I think that's enjoyable to watch.
Do you remember when DC were trying to differentiate themselves from Marvel by being like, yeah, but we're darker and nitty and gritty, and they did like the Man of Steel, and now they're like, Aquaman, and he's got the original costume, and it's like, wow, you guys are much more camp than Marvel now.
Yeah.
And it's better. It's far better.
DC better than Marvel.
Jordan, no, not
DC. Campier than Marvel.
Campier than Marvel.
Jordan just said it was better.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
All right, let's head on into the negatives. Cane Dogs, do you have...
Yeah, I got a list.
Yeah, I got a list. Okay.
Everything else.
Yeah. Dog food, biscuits, butter. Wait, no.
So you're getting a dog?
Yep.
As well as some food.
And some biscuits.
To go
and
on
a bit
plane.
of butter.
This is the same
Buddy biscuits and buckle up for Jordan's negative things about Aquaman.
same story beats as Black Panther. So you've got like the mercenary guy who is played by Andy Serkis. Then you've got the half brother that wants to be the king of the realm, and that's Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. And then they have a first fight in front of the whole kingdom where the main character that we root for loses, and so the other guy is indeed the king. And then he learns a lesson and becomes a hero and comes back and fights him again in his suit in front of the whole army during a battle and wins.
Yeah,
and
very
it's the
similar.
same as
Aquaman starts out as King of Atlantis, just like T'Challa.
Why are you being an extra dick just because I like
Just because you like this film.
Extra
And I
dick.
thought this film was horrible. And no matter what, if someone makes a bad film, I'm not going to congratulate them for it on anything.
At least let me enjoy it. All right. Awkward electric guitar. They did this with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
They're trying so hard to give us a theme that halfway through, it's like they had just a timeline of the movie on a whiteboard, or like on a chalkboard, and they just were throwing darts, and wherever that dart landed is like, all right, that's where we're gonna put in the random electric guitar theme.
It happens like 5 times in the first scene where like
he's in
someone
like a
punches
submarine,
him, or like someone hits him and it all stops, goes quiet. He looks up and it's like, and it happens like 5 times. Like the first time you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. After the 5th time you're like, oh, I know what's. He's not getting hurt by that.
It also happens in Wonder Woman where it's just like at random moments like. And I'm like, oh, this is a really weird theme to.
Yeah.
It's just so. It's such an in-your-face theme to put at random times.
My least favorite.
Oh, I've got a few. Oh, that's fine. I'll come back to
is
them.
probably how similar everything underwater is to science fiction films in space.
Yeah.
It's like
really
even the
spacey.
start is like they go into Atlantis and it's like there's like traffic jam of people trying to head into a city. And it's like it felt like straight out of some like cyberpunk film, like Blade Runner or something similar.
On the bridge.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't need a bridge, and then I'm like, oh, that's like the one from Thor. Wait.
And yeah, it felt straight, like cut, like literally cut and paste from any science fiction film. And then same thing with all of the ships that they're all getting into. There's like flying ships from Star Wars, and they go into the city, and it's like half Avatar, half Star Wars. And then they get into.
Everybody hates both Avatar and Star Wars. Go on.
And then they jump into like Star Destroyers when they go into different kingdoms. But then because it's all like kingdom based, it's all also cut and paste from fantasy. And so everything is just and it's just really weird. And then there's a group of people who like they say earlier in the film that some of the people digressed into like crustacea when they like evolving, when the Atlanteans were evolving, and some of them just stayed like humans for some reason. And these people that kind of look, they have like fins and stuff, and they refer to themselves as the fish people.
Yeah.
And I hated that to my core, because we don't call ourselves like the gorilla people or whatever.
Yeah,
We're humans.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
there's these people that look like fish, and they say, we the fish people. And I was like, no, you're not the fish people.
Yeah.
You're some types of people who happen to look like fish.
It's like
it annoyed me so much.
Us, the Rangers.
Yeah, it's like saying, we, the balding men.
Yeah. It was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no,
it was so weird. And so every single part of that world felt cut and paste from other better films, other better stories, that it just irritated me every time that something would come on, especially in the last final fight scene. It's like whenever I see a fight scene like that, I like especially in these films because they do it all the time.
Massive armies.
Yeah, I always don't care at all. Right?
Yeah, I didn't care at all about the fight.
It's like,
I only
it
cared
happened
about
in-
the fight at the end with the two of them on the boat. I thought that was pretty neat.
It happened in Avengers. The most recent Avengers. What was the most recent Avengers?
Infinity
called?
War.
Infinity War.
Wow.
It happened in that film with the two armies fighting each other. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like it happens in every modern film these days, and it's like, and every time I see a fight scene like that, I always think of Helm's Deep and how incredible that fight scene is, and why you actually care about what's happening. And it's because it's like 2,000 people versus 10,000 people. And you're like, how the hell are they going to get out of this fight? And so you care about every decision they make. Every single time the enemy makes some a step forward in the fight, you're like, oh no, they're all going to die.
Because you can see strategy and everything,
Yeah.
as opposed to two sides just kind of clapping together.
Yeah, exactly. And in this film, I was just like, these people were introduced 5 minutes ago.
It also
Why
doesn't
do I care
explain
about
a
these
lot
people?
about why they're like it. Because at one point it's like, we're going to unite them and I'm going to convince them, and then halfway through he's just like, or I'll kill the people that disagree with Mike.
Yeah,
kill him, I guess.
exactly.
Originally-
There's a bit where he's going around and he's talking to kings, trying to convince them. He goes to the fish people king and he just stabs him in the chest with a.
And then it's just
the
this
tribe.
weird little girl. He's like, now you're in charge.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Can I say that before that though, I straight up was siding with the bad guy for the first half of this film. I was
He
like,
makes some good points.
yeah,
Like,
for the first half
littering
of
in
this
the
film, I
ocean
was
and-
like, you know what? I understand his motivations and I agree with him, and I think that's why I like the villain because there aren't a lot of villains both in superhero films and outside of superhero films where bad guys aren't evil for the sake of being evil. And we've talked about it a bunch of times. I not only understood this guy's motivations, but agreed with them all the way up until he decided to randomly start stabbing people, and then he became evil for the sake of being evil. But for the first half, I was like, no, this guy's straight up right. This guy's just correct.
Yeah, so
Land people are dicks.
it was just. It was just some weird amalgamation of people cutting stuff from other better stories.
Yeah. So my negatives mostly to do with the CGI. I feel like some of the CGI was like, yeah, cool. This is
Some
like
of it
a
worked and some
fantastical
of it
world,
didn't,
and
yeah.
like, yeah, that's great. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was always like a weird line of sight in the talking scenes underwater. Like it looked like they were looking at each other's chins, which really, because like, you know, actors are told like keep your eyesight because that's, you know, where the acting comes from. And
Yeah,
it's
actors are
weird when they're,
taught
like,
to look into one eye so their eyes don't jump from eye to eye.
Yeah, but because I feel like they would have shot them separately and then like imposed them into a conversation, it looked like they were looking at each other's chins or like shoulder or whatever, but they were staring
Plus,
intensely at it.
There was an
And it
effect
like-
put on to make it look watery. That there was like it was constantly.
Some of that worked and some of that really
waving.
didn't.
It was just like
What
it
I
was-
didn't
it was
like is
strange.
the physics of this changed a lot. Like
Yeah.
sometimes there were fight scenes underwater, and when they jump, they'd be moving slightly slower because they were in water and they could swim around, and they actually used that in combat, and I thought that was cool. But then there were other times where they just straight up like jumping and coming down at the set, like as if they were outside of water, just jumping and moving normally. I'm like, or there's a part where they're fighting with the trident, and he drops it from one hand and catches it to another, and I'm like, that move
Wouldn't
actually
work in
doesn't
water.
make sense underwater.
It's starting to wear on my soul. That
Brody's been saying this for a while. I'm a bit worried
No,
we're going to
there
find
are a
like
number
10
of
meters
things
of
where
rope and a rickety
there
stool
are
somewhere.
a number of things that are wearing. There are a number of things that are wearing on my soul. But one of them is that in like all of these films, they put in a female character that is just a nothing character, and is just completely and 100% supportive.
Romance, because romance.
Yeah, and it's like even at the end of the film, he becomes king of Atlantis, something that he doesn't want, but he doesn't make up some new rule and it's like, I want her to be queen. I want to go do my own thing, which
Yeah,
would
he's
have
like,
been
well,
great. He's
I'm
just like,
king.
I'm king
Throw
now.
her to the crabs because she broke the rules and I'm not going to make changes to it.
And so it's just that it's that same ending in so many modern stories where the good guy just becomes king of everything or emperor or just in charge. And it annoys me so much because that's never their character. They always say at the start of the film they don't want to be in charge or whatever. They just like want things to be better. But then they always just end up being in charge, and they're never someone who has any experience in being in charge. And so everyone just thinks that like oh, because you did this one thing, you can control the rest
now
of the
know
entire
how to
kingdom.
rule a
It's
kingdom.
very reactionary. It's a bit like to get a bit political, it's a bit like the both Australian and American politics at the moment, where we just keep picking someone new, not because they're better, just because you don't like who we have now.
Yeah.
It's very much like they're different to what we have now. Let's go with them. And then when we don't like them, we'll pick someone who also isn't experienced, but they'll be a different person.
My brother also, I watched it with him, and he also brought up that it's weird that we're kind of barracking for the monarchy to recorrect itself.
Yeah.
That he is the true heir. And so he's like fighting to get his throne back. And so we're in favor of supporting the monarchy, like the hierarchy.
Yeah, true.
I feel like we've talked about that before.
Bring
It's
like the true
Yeah,
king
we
back.
talked about it
and
with
it's like,
Robin Hood, I think.
Yeah, like some films are like, you know, you don't have to be anyone. You can make a name for yourself.
Harry
And other
Potter, we
films
talked about
are
it with Grindelwald.
No, you're the
got to
chosen
be
one.
a Dumbledore.
You're the only person that can. Yeah, I think we're about done. I think
we're done.
I only had 2 other negatives that we didn't really touch on, but
The weird flute moment where she's on a boat just playing a flute. I don't know how she learned to play a flute.
she'd be playing a lot of Zelda.
She lives underwater. I don't know how she learns to play a flute. That was a weird moment.
No, but true. The other things that I didn't like were the stormtroopers.
They looked like Power Ranger villains. They looked like weird Power Ranger
Actually,
costumes.
a lot of this reminded me of like Power Ranger-esque type
and
fighting.
like I didn't like it, but at the same time, it followed with the rest of the campiness. Like it made his costume not look so dumb that everyone else looks like that.
Yeah, I guess.
But
so.
yeah.
Is the other bit that Nicole Kidman made herself a dress while she was locked away for 20 years?
Or that it follows
In
the
the
story
other
of Ant-Man
kingdom?
2, where the mum is
She just
stuck in
shows
a
up at the end of the
different
film. She's wearing a dress. She's been like escorted by a bunch of people. And she's wearing a dress, and it's like, what the hell happened to your armor?
They obviously didn't
It's
move her
so
wardrobe
random,
from
so random.
wherever.
She's like, so obviously in like locked away for 20 years, not talking to anyone else. She's just made herself a dress.
Yeah.
And decided to wear that when she
Well,
came
you know,
back.
you got time to kill.
Yeah.
No, my one of my biggest complaints is they say Aquaman
Oh yeah, because
instead of Aquaman.
Because we're
They
Australian.
say like Aqua.
Aqua. No, it's Aquaman.
Yeah.
I've always
You
known it
idiots.
to be Aquaman.
All right, K-Nox, do you have an idea on how we could finish off this Poddy Pod, the first pod of 2019?
Well, we kind of ruined it because I wasn't going to do anything themed for the movie. What I was going to do is, because this is the last before the years, we just use this to say thank you and tell everyone to have
Did that last podcast?
But we've already done that. So, what are your New Year's resolutions for the New Year's? If we make these on the podcast, then you got to stick by them. So what are your New Year's resolutions, Angus?
Specifically podcast resolutions.
It can
I hope
be
we get to
podcast-
52.
Yeah, I hope we get to
52 episodes this
I
year.
propose a new rule for the podcast. I propose a new rule.
Every time we say the word interesting, we have to punch each other.
No. The new rule is
just
that
said
Yeah, no, we haven't been doing it.
every year we all get one. Which means we all get one film that we can say and everyone has to see. And then the reason I bring this up is because there was about 10 films this year that I really wanted to see.
That's
but
because,
we didn't get to see any
Angus
of them.
refuses to watch anything that could be scary. Bro.
Yes, and this is why I'm deliberately bringing up this rule. Because I know there are films that Angus will want to see that I definitely want to see. There are films that I want to see that Angus will definitely want to see. And there might be a film that Jordan wants to see that neither of us want to see. We don't
And
have
just
to.
because I want to see Angus squirm at least once, I will agree to this. Only if it's aided with we get to veto one movie. We get to veto one movie.
Or
Except
maybe
It can't contradict.
Yeah.
It can't contradict. So if Brody's like, we're definitely seeing A Quiet Place, Angus can't be like, I'm vetoing A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
So Brody can. We can all.
Well, do you want yours to be a veto instead of a have to see?
No, because I don't know everything that's coming out this year aside from.
So we each get one yes and one no?
But I'll put it this way, Brody. If you veto Endgame, I'll murder you.
Oh, Avengers. No, I want to see that.
Okay, that's not that I don't care. It's the only film this
the
year I
only
care
film.
about.
Fair enough.
All right. So we each get an allocation and a veto.
What do you say, Angus? You are very much the daddy of this podcast.
It's true. You are Brody's
boys,
daddy.
I'm happy with whatever you two want to do.
Who's
My
youngest
time
out
is
of
past.
Who's youngest out of you two? Like I know you were born within seconds of each other, but
I don't know if we ever found out.
No, I think we're the same because we high-fived out of the womb.
Yeah.
Okay. You came joined at the dick. I mean, they're not brothers, but they were born on the same day in the same hospital.
Yeah.
We just came out winking at each
Yeah,
other.
just
across the room.
You know, one day we're gonna make a good podcast, you and me.
Yeah, we're gonna have different accents by then.
I remember when you guys were both born in Boston.
Yep.
Hey, look, Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg. He was the doctor.
No, it's me, Bobby.
Like, Chloe was like, say hi to your mother for me. And you're like, oh, she's here.
She's like, say hi yourself.
Thank you for listening to the Film / podcast. Happy New Year, everybody. We're
Happy New Year.
if you're listening to this, we're in 2019, and that means you have your own list of films that you're excited for. If there's something you really want us to do this year that you know about, that you're not sure if we know about, write in, let us know, and we'll veto it. Anyway, see you next year, everybody. Bye.
Ciao.
This is coming out next year, though.
See you this year, everybody. Bye.